Excuse me. Can I quit this podcast?
I told Eddie Murphy to stay in Colin so he'd have something to fall back on. I did great advice.
Do you want to
Our
interrupt?
producer ignores our begging to change that opening with you and Eddie Murphy.
I just want to know.
You guys should be married by now.
My question was answered. I was going to ask you, do you want to interrupt me now or should I wait 5 seconds? But
we have a mystery guest, right?
Mystery? We got a great guest. We welcome to Stand Up Memories.
Mystery doesn't.
What do you mean mystery?
Doesn't make great go away.
Okay, good.
They don't know who it's going to be.
All right, well, listen to this. Let's just tell. Stand Up Memories is the name of our podcast. I mispronounced podcast.
It's my job to get them all twisted.
You're off to a roaring start.
If I can get them all twisted.
He tries to throw me off my game and get me to mispronounce podcast. Our podcast is called Stand Up Memories. I'm Peter Bales. This is Jackie the Joke Man.
We're
Marlin.
selling these very special mugs, these Strong Island mugs, reusable because they take a paper cup inside.
All right. We have a really, really great guest.
Why don't you introduce him?
I'm going to introduce him now.
Okay.
Try to get unflustered here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, as you're going to find out, this is a very accomplished gentleman in his own right.
Thank you very much.
With an interesting family lineage. How do you say lineage?
That's it.
Okay.
Can we start from the beginning?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for coming to our dress rehearsal.
I was so ready until the show started.
That's common.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Stand Up Memories, Colin Cosell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hello.
this gentleman, you hear the last name. Those of you that are younger.
And that throws people off because his father is Mel Allen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There might be one person watching that
His
knows
father-
who Mel Allen is.
Mel Allen, former Yankees broadcaster. Jackie says that to throw the audience off. This gentleman, Colin Cosell, very accomplished, and I do want. We're going to bring that out. But the first thing you've dealt with this all your life, probably. So tell us about your grandfather. Is that the first question you get a lot in life?
I mean, it's either a question about him or I loved him on The Odd Couple, or
Right.
he's the one who told me that Lennon died, or down goes Frazier. And then they'll inevitably go into an imitation and they'll
Right.
do it as if they're trying to audition to be a member of my family. And
Yes.
and I say, you sound just like my grandfather if he had, a split lip and like a busted tongue, but yeah, it works.
It is pretty hard to resist. Even when I told my girlfriend where I was going, you wind up trying to do Howard's voice because it's just, everybody thinks they can do it,
Well, I don't do impressions. I can't do Howard. I can't do anybody. I just sitting here. I can do Jerry Springer.
We already got a
Okay.
pretty good taste of the fact that you can't even do Peter Bales.
I can't. I'm having trouble doing myself tonight.
That's loaded.
Which
So wait, Jackie, can you do it?
Friends, welcome to Muhammad Ali's fifth. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I never could.
the answer to that is no. He can't do it.
What? How old were you when you realized that you came from, show business royalty or broadcasting royalty? Did you know that very early on, or?
It was, it was kind of a unique upbringing because for 9 or 10 months of the year, I lived a standard middle-class upbringing in Stamford, Connecticut. But then for a couple months every summer, we'd go out to my grandfather's place out in West Hampton Beach and on Dune Road. And so as soon as school was out, we'd go out there, spend the entire summer. And in my grandfather's bedroom, he had a microphone just like this, well, not like this, obviously antiquated, with headphones on it. It was on top of a dresser. And I always saw it there and never really thought much of it. And that was just one of the first clues that something was
Was
a
it
little different.
operable or was that just?
Well, that's the thing. I came to find out that it was a live line that went to ABC Radio, so he could do his 60-second radio spot. This was in the mid '80s, and he had, earned his stripes at that point. So they set him up with this so that he could do his 60-second radio spot from the comfort of his own home, with the microphone just inches away from socks and
So
underwear.
how old are you?
46.
So in the mid '80s, you were
5,
10?
6, 7.
obviously.
Wow.
So
Have we actually, you know what we haven't done? I don't think we've said the name of the guy we're talking about. That's how fast we were going.
You did briefly.
Howard?
No, Colin.
No.
Oh.
he hasn't said that either.
I
He
said-
obviously
Hi,
doesn't
I'm
care about
Colin.
you.
We are talking about a legend who made a huge impact on sports broadcasting and sports itself, Howard Cosell, and what it's like to be the grandson of this, I can say, great man. He accomplished so much. Everybody knew him.
Absolutely a great man.
Yeah.
Now, was he from Long Island?
No, he was born in Winston-Salem. Shortly thereafter, his family moved to Brooklyn, and that is where he grew up. That's where the accent came from.
Right,
And so
right.
he was
That makes
a New Yorker through and through.
I have a question that I want to know the answer to.
8 inches.
Was he having fun during that long career? Was he a happy guy? Was he having fun? Did he appreciate how lucky he was to be doing what he was doing?
1,000%. Because he was raised in a traditional Jewish home where they said you become a doctor or a lawyer.
Yep.
My grandfather wanted nothing to do with blood and guts. So he became a lawyer. And it worked out that he had the gift of gab, was incredibly bright. So he excelled. He went to NYU, graduated from NYU Law, and became a lawyer, begrudgingly. And he was amazing at it. He was a phenomenal orator and a big believer in justice. So obviously he did well, but his dream was to become a broadcaster.
It
So
was from the beginning.
100%. And at that point, it was still in its neophytic stage. Television was brand new, and the broadcasters were still kind of figuring it out. They all kind of sounded the same. There was journalistic integrity. It was a very different time. And then at 38, he turned to my grandmother, and they had a couple. Or just we had my mom was like 1 or 2 years old, and he said, "I'm going to leave legal practice and I want to go into broadcasting."
Now, what year are we talking right here?
So that would be 1956.
Yeah, so TV, everything was very new.
Yeah. And so my grandmother said, "Howard, I believe you can do anything. So go for it. I support you." And so what he did was he was able to parlay being a lawyer into being a broadcaster. He was representing Little League Baseball. ABC wanted to start a new show called In the Clubhouse, where a major leaguer would be interviewed by a little leaguer, and they needed a moderator. And my grandfather kind of shoehorned his way into it, and boom, that was his first break into TV.
Wow. And then his, such a defined voice, and it was something he didn't
The
forget.
voice, he didn't practice that voice. That was just his voice.
Yeah, that was his natural
and that
cadence.
really helped him.
Yeah.
But he was good, and he had a better vocabulary than anybody he was working with and the athletes he was interviewing.
Yeah. I mean, it was his brain, and I say this as a bias, obviously his grandson, but he was hands down the smartest man I've ever met. I mean, it was just, there was so much going. He had a photographic memory. He had an uncanny sense of time. He had an incredible sense of direction, and the dude didn't drive.
He didn't drive. I didn't know that.
Hated driving.
How did he get to the stadium?
It was either from my
he talked
grandmother.
somebody into it.
It was either from my grandmother, or he had a driver named Murray. He called Mush, and Murray would drive him around.
I love
and
that.
was
I love
that was kind of set up through ABC.
He
A Jewish driver.
he
Slow down.
was controversial at times. I always heard about things that he had said or done, and I was wondering what's really the story behind that. Is that true? Let me look, but I'm sitting on a joke here.
Okay,
No. I'm sitting on a wise ass comment here.
It's
As a young boy, did you ever look at the top of his head and go, "Is that thing moving?"
Well, are we talking with the toupee on or off?
Did you ever see him? I mean, with the toupee off?
Oh, I put the tape in his toupee. After my grandmother passed away, that was like my job. I would put the
Because there
tape.
were- there were a
if
lot
he's
of-
in West Hampton and you guys are out on
Well,
the
he didn't live there
beach,
year round. It was his summer house.
But
He lived,
I'm saying in the summer, he's
Right.
not swimming in with a wig on, right?
But I mean,
No.
that was just a long running joke, and he was a good sport about it.
absolutely. And Muhammad, made fun of it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it was great because it was such a bad toupee. And the color of the toupee did not match the hair that it was supposed to blend into.
I know.
It was a horrible toupee. And that was kind of part of the charm. And the best part was the man had such a receding hairline, which is, comparable to mine. So I'm going to have the same kind of hair. I'm not getting a toupee, but the same sort of receding hairline as my grandfather's. And then all of a sudden one day, boom, he's got a hairline again. And this thing is there and it's just
Right.
not moving. Gust of wind, it does nothing. Like it was bulletproof.
Like we used to go to Broadway Mall when it was, the Gertz Shopping Center and see Cousin Brucey
Oh, yeah.
when he
Yeah.
would lead these rock and roll things. And he was almost bald. And then all of a sudden one day he was 30 years younger,
Yeah.
like boom,
Yeah, no, it was a terrible toupee, and it was just kind of part of the aura. And the thing was, he could get away with it because if you wanted to go after him, he would take you down verbally, and you'd probably never recover. So
Best leave it alone. Right?
yeah, and not to mention the fact the man was extremely tall too. He was a big guy. So you've got the voice, the commanding voice, the command of the English language, and that just a
Yeah.
big figure.
He's wearing a wig. You tell him.
Yeah, exactly. The only one who could get away with it was the man who was larger than him, and that was Muhammad Ali.
Now, what point did you decide that you want to? You did comedy first.
So I was 5 years old when I fell in love with talking to microphones, and it was that very microphone that was on the dresser. Because
Wow.
finally one day I asked my grandmother, I said, Gam, we called it, it was short for Gamma. My brother got it. He couldn't say grandma. I said, whatever. So we all called her Gam. He was Papa. And I said, Gam, what's up with the microphone? And she goes, well, Papa does his radio show from there. And I said, can I watch him do that? I said, that's really cool. I enjoy the radio. So one morning she got me up nice and early, and I went with my grandfather. He grabbed the newspaper from the front door, circled a couple things. He had a stopwatch next to him that he would click and never look at again. And he would click it again. It was immediate 60 seconds without looking. It was unbelievable.
I love it.
And he put me on his lap and he said, all right, I want you to say hello to my producer. His name is Eddie. And I said, yeah, like, hello, Eddie, whatever. And he talked back to me and I was like, wow, this is wild. And he said,
love
all right,
it.
say something. I'm going to record it for you. This is called an air check. And I'm going to play it back for you. So God knows what I said. I was 5. He played it back for me. And I said, whatever this witchcraft is, I am in.
You were
and I
were
want
hooked.
to do this. Yep.
You were
And,
hooked.
and so I
Great.
just knew I wanted to be a performer.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. So you got to talk into that microphone.
Yeah.
Can you?
Do you
we
remember the first time you talked? I remember.
I do.
My
It was-
buddy's father had I don't know what kind of tape recorder, but it was back when there was the green thing, and it.
I can.
the-
I
it
remember.
wasn't a needle. The green. It was almost like slime or something.
I remember having. My father had a Wolin sack, which an earlier generation knew that brand. It was big. It was reel to reel. It had kind of a square microphone you could hold in your hand. And my father interviewed me with those tapes still exist of me with the high voice, probably about 5.
Mhm.
And I was fascinated then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to an adult.
Yeah.
Let alone a kid.
Well, and my grandfather caught on to it and he realized that, I was hooked. So he had a bunch of those mini tape recorders that
Yeah.
recorders used to have back in the day. And he had a stack of little mini cassette tapes. He said, here, take it, have fun. And then I spent the rest of my childhood recording, commercials, radio
Love it.
shows, doing play-by-play of my G.I. Joes beating up on WWF wrestling
Yes.
figures and stuff like whatever it was. And I also had a little camcorder. I would just go to town on making all of these things happen and talking and just playing it back. And that's how I really enjoyed myself as a kid.
And he was encouraging you the whole time.
He thought it was great. Have at it. I went into his office with him one day and there was a recording booth there and he had meetings and stuff. And it just threw me in the booth. And I actually totally forgot about this story. We're going back 35 years. And I spent a good hour, I think, maybe more in that studio, just talking to that microphone, and they recorded it and they put it on cassette and send it back with me. And that's all I needed. I didn't need to sit there coloring or anything like that. I didn't need to be entertained. I just needed that microphone in the booth and I was happy.
So let me put on my hard driving podcaster hat right
All
now.
right, here we go.
Here we go. Are you ready?
Is there any mail for me?
So,
Go ahead.
he was often controversial.
Sure.
And I want to ask you, he always had so much confidence, and good reason, he knew what he was doing. Are you aware, in retrospect, was he ever knocked off his game? Did anything ever get to him? And of course, there's a couple of famous things that come to mind. Let me throw some things out. He got a lot of criticism when he was doing baseball for being hard on the Yankees. And I think he was hard on the Yankees because he was secretly a Yankee fan. I'm hard on the Yankees. I'm a Yankee fan. And I think that came across in the broadcasts. And of course, that was in all the New York papers. Why is Howard saying this?
His slogan was telling it like it is.
Yeah.
And when he was doing Monday Night Football in the 70s, that's exactly what he did. And before him, broadcasters would kind of, coddle a bit.
Yeah.
Your team is on the up and up. They're figuring it out. Howard would say your team is abysmal, and here's why. And it was unabashed, just I'm going to tear it apart.
Right. I love it. And if he can't handle it, that's not his problem.
It's not. It's your problem. It's your team's problem. It's your general manager's problem. Figure that out and talk to them. Well, fans are not going to listen to that. Fans don't listen to reason, especially when they're like, a six-pack of Bud Deep. So they're sending death threats to the booth.
Okay.
Say, how dare you say that about my team? He was receiving death threats in the booth at a Denver Broncos game in the 70s. And that happened all the time. Now,
isn't it crazy that people are that invested?
How dare you talk that way about my team?
It's not their wife or their mother. This
Right.
is not, I shouldn't say stupid, but it's a ball team, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Your only stake in the game is that you own a jersey and a hat.
I want your insight into something that was very controversial, and I've thought about it, and my conclusion is and you're going to know immediately what I'm talking about. He didn't do it on purpose, and it was not racist. And you know exactly what I'm going to ask.
Alvin Garrett, the little monkey comment.
Right.
Sure.
There was look at that little monkey run. It came out of his mouth during a Monday Night Football game, right? Could have happened to me. Things like that have happened to me. I'm an older person now. That language is used differently.
Sure.
You probably have a lot of awareness of that and have analyzed it and thought about it.
Absolutely. I mean, well, here's the thing. He used to call us as children, his grandkids, little monkeys. That was
and
a
a
term
lot
for
of
it.
people. I just called my twin. What about are they my grandchildren-in-law or
grandniece?
Whatever. But when I say goodbye, monkeys. I mean,
Right.
it's just it's a common.
Yeah, but that's because you were spoken to. Because previously you were saying goodbye, scumbags. And your sister spoke to you sternly, and I thought she's right to correct your language.
See, you thought Peter couldn't be funny.
I never said that. We didn't talk before the show, remember?
Yeah, we
didn't have to.
We started to talk, and you came in and broke it up because we're not allowed to prep.
I don't need you guys bonding behind my back.
Well, you and I have been texting for
But that's-
weeks now.
So how old were you
I understand.
when Look at the Monkey Run?
I was just
High
I was
school?
just a baby at that point. That was in the early 80s, maybe 82, 83. And at that point, my grandfather was kind of disenchanted with what was going on in broadcasting.
Okay.
He hit his peak in the 70s, but he also hit his peak of pissing people off in that same decade. 1976 TV Guide, they had a poll, who's your most beloved and most hated person on TV? And my grandfather won both. So, and the very,
Which is wonderful.
I mean, like, I don't think anyone could pull that off. But at that point, they were ready to take him down. Now, it didn't matter.
Why?
Because he had pissed enough people off for whatever reason. He was the smartest man in the room. People are like, why do you have to act like it? And it's like, this is just the curse of being me.
Right.
But there were times where he could not control himself, and there were some people that he would rub the wrong way. And so eventually, once you're on top, everyone wants to take you down.
Of course.
And so when that opportunity struck, regardless of the fact that he was a huge champion of Jackie Robinson, regardless of the fact that he stood by Muhammad Ali through everything he went through, the name change, Vietnam, everything, they said, this man's a racist and blah, blah, blah.
And all the rest of it went to
And
the
everyone
side.
said he must be a racist. He called him a little monkey, regardless of the fact that there is footage of him several years prior referring to a white man running down the field as a little monkey. All of that mattered not. People were ready to take him down. So after that, he shortly thereafter left Monday Night Football He shortly thereafter
Was
left
that the reason?
boxing.
Was that part of the reason?
It was, you know, multiple things, but that was definitely in the mix, I'd say. I think he was just kind of tired of it. You know, if I'm telling it like it is and you can't take it for what it is and you're going to try to twist my own words against me, screw you.
All right, I'm calling a halt. Now we're going to
Good answer.
Colin.
Thank you.
It's a great answer.
Thank you.
And I'm thrilled to hear that because I didn't know any
That was
of
a
that.
good answer.
So how was he still alive when you decided to do stand-up?
No, and that's for the best. My grandfather passed away shortly before I was 16. I did not try stand-up until February of 2001.
Now, what about, were your parents involved in
No, stand-up was something that always came to me naturally. You know,
I mean, were your parents involved in show business? At
No.
all,
I come
broadcasting?
from a family. I'm the only one who said I want to follow my grandfather's footsteps. My big joke with that is, why let Bob Marley's kids ruin his legacy? I can do that for Howard Cosell as well.
I got you.
So
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I'm the youngest of 4.
Wow.
Tell me about your stand-up career. Where do you work? Do you still do it? What's going on?
Now I don't, which is also probably for the best.
Where and when did you start? Were you on Long Island?
So no, it was New York City. What happened was January of 2001, one of my best friends from college wanted to try his hand at stand-up. And so we all went as a group, and it was a bringer show, you know, for the young comics out there. When you want to get some stage time, you have to bring a certain amount of people and they'll give you a certain amount of minutes. So we came in full force and we watched my friend do it. And I was like, you know what, now's the time to do it. I used to do practically
Broadway
do
Comedy
stand-up.
Club? What club?
It was Stand Up New York.
Stand Up New York.
And so a gentleman named Bob DeBono was, So Bob was producing the show. Afterwards, I went up to him and I said, how do I get involved? He said, you know, if you can bring some people, I've got a show next month. And that's that. I filled the room. And after that, he said, you know, you're on anytime. It's like, you've done your due diligence. And so he was putting me on shows constantly. And I'm sure I was just filler, but through his shows, I got to work with insane people. A young Jim Gaffigan was there, Dave Attell, Jay Leno, Chris Rock. I got to go up between Chris Rock and Jay Leno one night.
Wow.
Because they both happened to be in town trying new material. And I have no idea what I said that night, but it didn't matter because I was the idiot following Chris Rock and the crowd was not expecting us, so they went nuts. It was a lot of fun for about 8 months, and then 9/11 happened. And nothing can derail a young stand-up career like the entire country trying to learn how to laugh again.
Is that why you stopped?
No, not at all.
Why'd you stop?
I stopped because I just wasn't good.
Really?
No,
I can't believe that.
I stopped because I needed to start paying bills and stand up.
I got you.
It was a very cutthroat industry, and it was something that I would have loved to have
followed through on. The harsh reality came up and bit you on the ear.
100%, and that's being very nice to my derriere. And the thing was, a friend of mine named Stephanie Acevedo, who's a comic as well, she's now a voice actor. She asked me to host one of her shows she was producing one day at it was the Eastville Comedy Club. And so I went up there not knowing what I was doing, but it was crowd work. And I'm very good with bouncing off of things very quickly. And that's when I fell in love with the idea of hosting. So then I started producing my own shows for the next about 10 to 15 years of my career. So I could surround myself by the best, be the host, do some crowd work and everything. And it was just, that was my element. So I just stopped.
You did that for that long?
I did that for a good 10 years. Friends owned bars or, had local theaters or something like that. I'd grab a whole group of people.
And you were living in the city at this point? Or?
At that point, I was living, at one point I was living in Brooklyn, then Astoria. Before that, I was living in Stamford, Connecticut. So, in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
I want to do something right now we've never done before.
You want to kiss me?
No.
Okay. I'll watch.
I think it's really cool.
I think I caught him off guard.
No, you didn't.
Go ahead.
Something is really nice. We are live on the Strong Island Network right now.
Bobby Lacera,
and
king of Paradise Studio.
We're at Paradise Studios. Anything to do with video podcasting, come to Paradise Studios in Massapequa. And the network associated with Paradise Studios that we're on live right now is called Strong Island Television. And I want to...
Now, if your family was lucky enough to find their way into the screen. Why don't you wave? to
There,
them?
that's what I'm doing here. You told me that essentially your wife and your kids are watching.
Oh, it's one kid. I mean, if
One
you count
kid?
the dog too, but
Okay,
yes, my
your
wife
wife-
Julia.
We'll take,
your
we'll
wife-
take it all. We'll take it all.
Okay, yeah.
Your wife and the other dog. No, that's horrible. Your wife, and you and your kid
Mhm.
and your dog. And I think you should say hello to. How old is yours? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a little girl named Eloise, and she will be 3 next month.
Oh, say hi to Eloise.
Eloise, Daddy loves you. We were just on the phone. I was calling to check in and let them know I was here. The last 3 minutes of my ride here was my daughter telling me a whole story. I have no idea what it was, but she got the Cosell gift of gab. In fact, when she was
wonderful.
about 1, she grabbed a microphone. I've got microphones all over their house. She grabbed one day and just started going la
I
la
love
la
it.
into it unprovoked.
What you don't know is she's our next guest.
She's
better-
coming on.
Well, I hope you got 3 hours because the girl can talk. Daddy loves you.
Eloise, your father is a cool guy,
Aw.
and it would be her great grandfather.
Yep.
Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
Peter, he's not still hosting shows. He can't give you stage time.
No,
I can produce one
but
if you want.
you know what? This guy has a very cool job during the baseball season. Can you tell everybody what that job is? And can all of the fans out there just go, well, that's cool. Sit watching our podcast. Can they go, wow, that's cool?
I mean, I hope so. So I'm the public address announcer for the New York Mets at Citi Field, which I know it doesn't sound like it now because when I do my announcing voice, if I did that all the time, I'd be institutionalized. I also do it for Army football up at West Point and the Premier Lacrosse League. But I'm the guy that when you come in to the stadium, you hear saying, fans, welcome to Citi Field, the home of your New York Mets.
That is very cool.
That is very cool. Can you use your announcer voice to
To say Peter Bales just quit show
to
business.
apologize to Yankee fans for stealing Juan Soto? No, you don't want that on video.
It's a little late.
It's a little late. I'm
mean,
not bitter.
It's okay. I mean, you guys have won a few more championships than us, so I don't know what you're complaining about. You guys.
No. Well, we'll find something to complain about. But that is just terrific. I suspect it's hard work and a lot of prep, but I also suspect it's fun.
It's a blast. It's a dream come true. It's. I mean, when I got the job when I was 38 years old, it was 33 years in the making. So, and
Now,
it's
is that
literally
the kind of job you just get? There's not a stepping stone to that.
no. It's a very niche job.
I mean, you didn't start with the Long Island Ducks or something.
No, but similar. I was managing a bar in the East Village of Manhattan, a sports bar, and they had a trivia night. And I said, let me take over trivia night. So what I started doing was introducing our starting lineup, our bartenders, our servers, our bouncers, all that.
I love it.
And I put on Sirius by Alan Parsons Project, like the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s. And this guy happened to be in the crowd one day who owned part ownership stake of a professional ultimate Frisbee team. Which growing up, I thought ultimate Frisbee was just stoners in the quad, being like, yeah, man, just run. But no, these people are like incredible athletes. He said, can you come and be our PA announcer? So my breakthrough as a PA announcer was with the American Ultimate Disc League with the New York Empire. And then from there, it was just more of a who you know, not what you know.
That's got to be so impressive on a resume, that name.
Oh, I now, you know what?
Remember that was a joke in the 80s. Somebody said, are you Methodist or Catholic? People say, I'm a Presbyterian. That we believe that when we die, we go up on a roof and nobody ever finds us. Which was funny when everybody in the world was throwing Frisbees.
I had that on a bumper sticker in our car, our family car.
Really?
Presbyterian. Yep. I kid you not.
that joke.
Yep.
Okay.
Classic.
So what comedians do? Oh, geez, we're running out. We got time for this.
We got time.
When comedians get together, we talk about not the things that go right, because just about 99% of the time, everything goes right. And I'm just want to pose the same question to you. I'm sure everything goes right when you're announcing at Citi Field, but do you have a story about something that didn't go right that might be a little bit humorous or interesting? I mean, it can't be, everything can't be perfect.
But
No.
there had to be times where, like, either the microphone malfunctioned or
Or when the
power
microphone was
went out.
on when it shouldn't have been.
Right.
I've got quite a few stories. One that's notable from a couple seasons ago. We had a player named, excuse me, it was Jose Iglesias. And he was kind of the lightning rod of the team. And when we had a playoff run, we made it to NLCS. And there was one day, and I think it might have been just like new parent brain just not working. I'd had a rough day and my brain just was not fully there. And so I try to be very present and I'm filling out my lineups. And for some reason, I just wrote down Julio Iglesias and I thought nothing about it. I'm going through the starting lineups and right now the fans are in love with him. So he's batting fifth. Batting fifth, number 23, Julio Iglesias. And I just keep going. And I hear a little chatter on the headphones, whatever, and I keep going, blah, blah, blah. And so that's it. Starting lineups are done, and I'm feeling great. I look over and I've got my spotter. His name is Nick, sitting next to me, and he's just looking at me like, and I'm like, what? He goes, Julio Iglesias? I said, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, you called him Julio Iglesias. And I looked down and I said, I wrote it down that way too. And it turns out the camera crew was panning the entire dugout and they had one camera on Pete Alonso and one on Iglesias as well. So you see the dugout and they're all reacting. They're laughing. Thank God. And Pete Alonso, you can read his lips going, and then you see Jose go, okay. Because he was a Latin pop star too.
Did they think you were being funny?
I don't know what they thought. I'm sure they were, it was like in one ear, out the other. It was just one of those momentary things. But it was also nice to know in that moment that the players are listening.
Right,
so,
right.
So yeah.
I was just testing you guys.
Yeah,
that is a classic story. I
It's a
love
wonderful
stuff
story.
like
and that's the most innocuous one I've got.
Well, you've heard, of course, of the longtime Yankee announcer, Bob Shepard.
The voice of God. He's,
right.
The gold standard.
Right. I think he was caught with the mic on and actually
it's inevitable.
It's
gotta
gonna
happen.
You control that. You control that yourself.
Well, that's the thing. You've got at Citi Field, we have a little clicker and you literally, you push this button down to spring loaded to open up the mic. You say your words, you release it. And as soon as you release it, the spring load goes up, the mic is cut out. And the one day that, there was a slip up that went out to the crowd, the person who used the microphone before me, our audio engineer didn't switch it back. And it has another setting where you can click it and it stays on. And then you have to unclick it to turn the mic off. So I clicked it and unbeknownst to me, it stayed on. And so then, and as soon as I'm done speaking, I just push the mic away, but I'm a fairly loud person. And a couple of things I said went out in the mic and it was like very early on.
I love it.
And my director, who's my boss, I heard him go, Colin, like a scornful mother. And I was just like, what? And he goes, your mic is open. And I said, well, how is that? And I said, oh, the mic is messed up. And then the audio engineer said, oh, that was from the other PA announcer who was doing the NYCFC game before, my fault. So immediately it went from 0.2 seconds of like, oh my God, I'm fired to, oh, it's the other guy's fault. And I'm just going to let them pass the buck for me.
I thought you were going to say somebody put a piece of gum in there or something.
And it's just...
Speaking of the microphone.
Okay, listen, this time flew by and I've been thinking the whole time, wow, this guy is a natural podcaster. Gee, I wonder how that happened. But I want to say to your lovely wife and your beautiful daughter, and what kind of a dog do you have?
We've got a lab pit mix named Bagel.
And Bagel,
true New Yorker.
Your husband, your father, and your human is a very cool guy. And we were honored to have him on this show. And I really mean this. We want to have you back. I mean, if it's possible.
We kidnapped you, right?
We didn't even scratch the surface.
He was coming out of Teresa's podcast, and we snatched you. If you're allowed, can you say that?
We snatched him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been a wonderful guest.
Terrific.
And
thank you.
And we'd love to have you back.
I would listen. My Mondays tend to be pretty free, so you say jump, I'll say how high and for how long.
Yeah, except when a home game during the baseball season.
Then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but we still have a couple months, so you guys let me know.
If you can set us up with Julio Iglesias, get him as a guest, we'd be thrilled.
Listen, I would be happy to do so. I haven't met him, though.
I have to ask you this, and it's ridiculous. It had to be 10 years ago. It might have been 15 years ago. Do you remember a game where during the 7th inning stretch, the war horse came out on the field?
Oh wow, that was before my time.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
I off the top of my head, I do not.
The War Horse was a Broadway play,
Right.
and one of the owners at the time was David Katz, whose father, Saul Katz, was one of the major owners. And we had a charity to save the Mustangs, and we had like 3 live Mustangs out in front. And during the 7th inning stretch, the actual War Horse, it's like 3 guys inside this costume, paraded around the outfield.
I remember that. Yes.
And it was very, very wild. And,
yeah, that predated
We
me.
always like to end the show with Jackie sharing an acid flashback.
It was very close to an acid flashback, although it was actually real.
I believe you. This we're getting signals here from
All right,
our
sorry
producers.
guys.
We will
Sorry.
do
No.
this again.
We are going to do this again. Colin Cosell, what a great guest and what fun. And the time flew by.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie the Joke Man Marling,
For
Yeah,
what?
thank you, Jackie.
for being you.
Thanks, you're great.
You're a legend. So there's he as soon as he said, "Could you be on the show?" I said, "Of course."
He is a
Jackie the
legend.
Joke Man. So
Well, at my point, legend, I hear is old.
oh,
You know,
all right, well,
it's a very flattering thing. You know, it's
I'm here to
somebody
sugarcoat.
calls somebody a genius. you
I
know.
am Peter Bales. This has been
You're a legend.
I'm not a legend.
You got to be. Look at the color of your hair.
it's real.
Good job, Peter.
And Paradise Studios. Anything you need, video, podcasting, right here in
Wait
Massapequa.
a minute. Don't you have a comedy college?
I do. I teach comedy. And you know what?
Were you
Colin?
ever
You know what,
stupid
Colin?
enough?
I'm gonna make
Did you ever?
I'm going to make a prediction for Colin. You're not done with stand-up comedy. You might not even know it now, but you're going to be back.
I feel it in my bones too.
He'll-
There's
he'll
a
do-
whole new, as a parent, and just my outlook on life as a middle-aged man is
Good.
completely different. So
He'll
yeah,
do
it'll
anything
happen.
to try and get somebody
That's
into a
right.
stupid college.
I'll give you $10 off our class.
Oh, teach me to be funny, please.
Standupuniversity.com if you're looking to start up in stand-up comedy or polish up a new 5-6 minutes. Thank you for bringing that up, Jackie.
You're very welcome. And when you listen to the Mets, tell somebody that you're listening because you heard it here.
All right. We will see you next time on Stand Up Memories.
Yes.
Good night, Eloise. Love you.